Today we're going to be experimenting with POR15 and how to top coat POR15. For those of you who don't know, POR15 is a very durable but UV sensitive rust preventative paint, and so really it must be top coated. The test subject I've chosen is a shield from the bottom of a MX5 fuel tank. As you can see, all of the surface flaking has been removed through electrolysis, and so just a light bead blasting should be sufficient for the POR15 system to work correctly. Before painting with POR15, the surface must be bone dry and free of any moisture. I usually will dry the part. Once any loose flaking rust has been removed, we're ready to clean and degrease the part. Using the clean and degreaser, dilute it 2:1 with warm water and scrub the part using usually a stainless scouring pad. Now rinse with normal tap water and allow the part to dry. The metal prep is an etching primer for the POR15 paint system. The part must be kept wet with metal prep for a minimum of 15 minutes. I personally would normally do 30 minutes. My preferred method for this is to spray the part, leave it for 5 minutes, come back, spray the part again for a total of 30 minutes, and then rinse with tap water again. I've chosen various common coatings, and some I've used before and some I haven't, so it's going to be quite an experiment. I've chosen also to add these two Upol products to the test. Upol Acid 8 is a fast drying acid etch primer, ideal for application on bare metal. Halfords etch primer, improved adhesion to galvanized steel and aluminium, excellent adhesion to metallic surfaces and a smooth matte finish. Isopon Zinc 182, rust inhibiting primer, a quick drying zinc loaded primer. Hammerite underbody seal with added wax oil, protects against stones, water and salt, prolongs your vehicle's life, reduces drumming and road noise. Hammerite direct to rust metal paint, no need to prime or undercoat, quick drying, direct to rust, long lasting protection. The Upol Gravitex Plus is a stone shield designed to replicate factory finishes. It provides a tough, durable finish, can be painted over most paints, and is applied with a dedicated Schutz gun that screws into the can. Novol Protect 330 primer, normally mix 5:1 with various levels of thinner depending on application. POR15 high temperature paint, resists temperatures up to 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, weather, salt and moisture resistant, resists cracking, chipping and peeling, and provides a textured matte finish. So this is the fuel tank shield before bead blasting. You can see there's some light surface rust, but nothing too much to worry about. Some repairs required, so we'll carry those out first. The fuel tank shield has now been bead blasted and the 3 threaded nuts repaired. Right, the part has been prepped with the metal prep for 30 minutes and now allowed to dry. You can see it has a gold flash rust to it. That's normal, and this is perfect, just ready for painting. Here I have the POR15 direct to rust paint. As you can see with the can, once the paint has been decanted, then you need to apply a layer of cling film and then the lid. Otherwise the lid will never come off, or it will come off so deformed you won't get it back on again. So now we'll just apply the POR15. Two thin coats is best, separated by 2 hours. So the part has now been painted in POR15, it's been left for 72 hours, and now it's going to be ready for recoating. I'm going to mask it into several areas and then use the products to try and top coat this. This side has been prepped with the red Scotch-Brite, equivalent roughly to 320 grit. This side is no prep, so we can compare the toughness and quality of the bond between the two prep methods. Right, so it's been 24 hours since we painted the top coats on. We're just going to use a heat gun to cure the high temperature paint, and then we should be ready for testing. Right, so we have the fuel tank shield here. We have our paints, not sanded, sanded. We're going to try and peel the edges using a fingernail. Then we're going to use the plastic scraper to try and scrape the surface. Then we're going to use an aluminium scraper, and if everything survives that, we'll use the ball peen hammer on this block of stainless to try and impact damage and see which top coat comes loose first. Let's start with the Upol. Try and peel one of the corners. Certainly from this test, the Upol seems to have bonded well with the POR15, whether you sand the surface or whether you don't. Try the Halfords etch primer. Unable to peel off the Halfords etch primer either. Now let's try on the Isopon zinc 182. Looks like the Isopon's bonded equally as well as the last two primers. Next is the Hammerite underbody seal. It's a soft coating that doesn't really dry, so I imagine we're going to be able to scrape off quite a lot. This would probably protect the surface anyway, and I've used it in the past for this method on various suspension components, so let's see how it gets on. Yeah, it's still soft. Yeah, as expected, it's soft, though it should protect the POR15 equally well for underbody components. Next is the Hammerite silver. Let's give it a try. Yeah, this definitely hasn't bonded. You can scrape that straight off, as you can see. You can remove that quite easily with no prep. And even with the prepped surface, those two paints haven't bonded. As you can see, after doing the fingernail test with the Hammerite, it doesn't seem to have bonded, doesn't seem to matter whether you prep it or not. Next is the Gravitex. Now the Gravitex without prep, you can just peel, you just get your nail underneath that and just peel that off. There's no bond there. Let's try with the prep. Unfortunately, with the prep, same outcome. You can just get your nail underneath that and peel that straight off. So that's a fail. So the Gravitex, it's a little bit harder to get off once prepped and sanded underneath, but without prep, there's no real bond there. Okay, next we have the Novol primer. So this is a 2K primer. I'm guessing similar outcome to the other 1K primers. Have a see. No, that's definitely bonded. That's definitely bonded. Novol's pretty good. And finally the POR15 high temperature paint. This is something I've used before, so hopefully it's pretty good. As you can see, it's bonded, but it must be dried with a heat gun, otherwise it won't fully cure. No, there's no ability to peel that, that's pretty good. And with the prep, you can mark the surface, but you can't remove that. It's definitely bonded. Okay, now I'm going to use the plastic scraper to try and damage the top coats and see which one is bonded the best. Okay, you can remove the Upol acetate. But with the prep it is harder, tougher finish on there. So definitely worth the prep for the Upol. Next, the Halfords etch primer. As you can see, quite easy to damage there. Again, it is worth prepping for the Halfords etch primer. It's more difficult to damage the coating. Next we have the zinc based Isopon 182. Quite difficult to damage that, it's well bonded. Very similar results whether prepped or not, so not worth doing the prep for the Isopon Zinc 182. Okay, so we're going to skip the underbody seal, so we'll go to the Hammerite direct to rust metal paint. Hasn't really bonded there, and very similar results with the prep. So moving on to Gravitex, see how that fares. Now it's not really bonded without the prep and can quite easily be removed with a scraper. And with the prep it is a more durable finish with the prep underneath. Okay, next one is the Novol. It's proven to be a very durable coating even with no prep. And with the prep it's near impossible to get this to come off. You can with lots of pressure. Very impressive. And finally the POR15 high temperature paint. Probably quite difficult to see there, but you can't really remove it, you just kind of mark the surface of it. It's a very hard durable coating. That's pretty good with no prep. And with the prep you can remove material, but you're just slightly marking the surface there. Very impressive. So to summarise, after using the sharpened scraper, the Novol and the POR15 are definitely the winners of that test. It seems that a prepped surface is better than a no prepped surface, but not by much. Okay, I'm going to use the aluminium scraper here to scratch the surface of each one, and in the end I'll summarise. So after performing the scratch test with the aluminium scraper, the most durable coating here is the prepped Novol 2K primer, followed closely by the unprepped Novol 2K primer, then the POR15 high temp prepped. Next we're going to use this hammer block of flat stainless to impact each of the coatings using the ball peen end. A couple of strikes on each one, and then we'll see how each one fares. So after each impact, we'll again try and scrape it off using the plastic scraper. See if any damage has been caused to the bond after impact. Try and simulate a stone chip. The Upol seems unaffected. The Halfords etch primer again seems unaffected by the impact. The Isopon Zinc 182, even without prep, is unaffected by impact. I've skipped the Hammerite underbody seal as this paint just sits on the surface. If I did impact it, it obviously stays on the surface. I also skipped the Hammerite as this failed the previous two tests. I don't think it's a viable coating over POR15. The Gravitex, I also skipped the unprepped as that's a fail. I did impact it here, as you can see it's unaffected by the impact. The Novol with the prep is unaffected. And even with no prep, the coating is unaffected. And finally the POR15. You can mark it, can't remove it. It's not affected by the strikes. Pretty good. The kind of outright winner really is the 2K primer, the Novol. Whether you prep or don't bother to prep the surface, it's bonded very well. If you don't have a spray gun or you're doing these kind of jobs at home, you want to use a single stage spray can application. There really is only one winner of that test, and that's the Isopon Zinc 182, closely followed by the Upol acid number 8. You can spray these on and they're very, very close to the Novol performance, with obviously ease of application, though on larger surfaces these are going to prove more expensive. The kind of outright failures of this test really are the Gravitex and the Hammerite direct to rust spray paint. These two just didn't bond whether you sanded and prepped the surface or whether you didn't. They do not bond to these urethane based coatings, and so they would need, in case of the Gravitex, an intermediate primer such as the Novol or Zinc 182. So what has this all been for? Why have I been painting coatings on the bottom of an MX5 fuel tank shield? Well, I'll show you. This is an MX5 rear subframe. I've listed the results here, so you can come to your own conclusions. So what have we learned? Well, POR15 is not that difficult to top coat. It is better when sanded and prepped, but it's not always essential. And using a good quality primer will ensure best results. And for a quick fix, you can get away with underbody seal or high temperature paint if cooled in an oven. Okay, hope this is helpful. Thank you very much.